There's no pose into that, Sean.
Gracious God, for the beauty of this evening, for the telling of stories, and the making of new memories, for friendships created through our connection to this VES community, for the reminder of your hand in our lives, and the reunion of kindred spirits, we thank you. Bless the hands who prepared this food, and us to your service. Amen.
Amen.
Those of you that I have not had the pleasure to meet,
think about the first time I met Mr. BK Mundy, absolutely was on the football field, Johnson Field, and that intimidating scowl to a young 150-pound, shaky defensive back. Little did I know that there would be imparted tremendous wisdom through 3 years of struggle and championship. But one of the most important moments for me was, I guess this would have been my senior year, and it was clear that I'd come off the field completely, literally lost my mind because I tackled inappropriately, not following his guidance, and put my head in first. My brother was on the defensive field with me, and I turned to him and I said, "Am I safety or cornerback?" And he was the other. He looked at me and just shook his head. And I went off the sidelines, and BK was coach and trainer in those days, and he just looked at me and said, "You'll be fine." And then after a little bit of rest, I was right back out there. And I think we lost. There were other special moments as a young man. I never had the privilege of having BK in the classroom, but it was interesting to watch my classmates stress and struggle on their senior paper, senior projects that Mr. Mundy laid upon them. But times in the dorm when Luke, the Doberman, would come tapping down the hallway, little did we know that that was his strategic way to, boys, it's time to clean it up and straighten up and tighten up. And that was a bit of grace that the stern old man delivered for all of us on Randolph dorm in those days. And another several important, so I've known him as coach, dorm parent, a mentor to this young teacher who came in very naive and not sure of himself, someone who I could look up to as a peer teacher. And then, sure enough, BK Mundy was a faculty representative to the search committee during the discernment of whether Tommy Battle could possibly serve as headmaster. So he had early wind of this idea, and we were on a phone conversation, and I'm sure, I cannot remember if he ever said it was a good idea.
Let's see.
But the one thing that I know that he did say that I will never forget, and this Roy goes, all headmasters eventually fail. And I didn't even really need an explanation, because it's like O.J. Simpson playing for the other team, that athlete who stays the extra season and tries to get the jersey or something. So be forewarned. If I ever switch my jersey, it's time. Just cut me off. Save me from that inevitable failure. But BK, you have frankly extended this day for 2 years. Probably because you were scared to death of what might happen if you weren't here, but really because he knew what an important role he could play for this institution in transition to new leadership. And I have to tell you, many moments when I could very comfortably lean on BK Mundy as the guy with the answer. He would tell me exactly what I needed to hear, whether I wanted to hear it that way or not. And in leadership, it is critical to surround yourself with people who will tell you what's on their mind. And there is no doubt that you have granted me that honor in these past 2 years. It is special to be with you and Sidna here tonight. Kyle is away
maybe under the ice cap.
Maybe under the ice cap. His son Kyle's in the Navy, and we're extremely proud of his service. But we have two of his devoted friends who are next up tonight, so I would love to now turn the microphone over to Mr. Phil.
What an evening. I just hope you're all aware that we're gathered this evening to celebrate the longevity, the astounding accomplishments of a remarkable man in the classroom, in the administrative offices, on the athletic fields, a man who has brought intelligence, wit, wisdom, articulate speech, and an incredibly amiable, lovable personality to the task for many, many years. And I don't know why you all make it a big fuss. I'm not retired. Okay. On occasions such as this, when tributes and appreciation are to be accorded to distinguished honorees, such as tonight's BES icon, BK Mundy, the challenge for those privileged to have a role in a proceeding like this is very simple. Take the easy route and simply heap scorn, contempt, and ridicule on a dear friend, or take the more difficult path and extol his or her virtues. And certainly I have struggled to choose between these two equally tantalizing options. Very clearly, it would be quite simple to call our collective attention to the large treasure trove of anecdotes which bear irrefutable evidence of BK's many and deeply entertaining pathologies. But the dignity of the moment requires more of me. I should rather identify and highlight the conspicuous virtues and the countless contributions made by this gentleman to generations of BES students over a career of 37 years. And frankly, therein lies the challenge to which I referred at the beginning. In BK's case, it is truly hard to know where to start in articulating those virtues. Frankly, for me, it's been even harder to discover what those virtues might even be. But I have to say that there is one reason. I'll get the criticism out of the way quickly. There's one reason to explain why I am personally not going to lament BK's departure. Something awful happened to him at spring break. I don't know exactly what it was, but since that time, Mr. Mundy apparently has anointed himself as a kind of prophet to his own country. A kind of Eastern mystic, a kind of oracular seer who shares insights into reality with those around him all the time, whether we want to hear them or not. So I have to infer that last March, Mr. Mr. Mundy was either truly touched by the hand of the divine and sent to enlighten others, or that more likely he was running around naked up on Route 130 and was struck by lightning, possibly suffering some irreversible brain damage. But in any case, BK can be seen these days drifting in and out of contact with the real world and pronouncing memorable maxims and observations on the eternal questions to students and colleagues. BK, what time is it? Well, Philip, in the end, what is time? Mr. Mundy, why did you take 15 points off this paper? I thought I did a pretty good job. Because, my child, the flat side of the pancake is only one side. Mr. Mundy, do you think I should apply for a counselor position next year? Ah, my lamb. One log does not make a fire. Time to pack up the Mustang and head north. Many people here tonight, I'm transitioning now, I hope, to something a little more serious, not only have had the pleasure of knowing BK for many years, but also of knowing his family, both immediate and extended. Indeed, for many years in the older Lynchburg world, the term the Mundy myth, M-Y-T-H, has a lot of meaning, and indeed, in some ways, a very honorable and a very enduring meaning. To know, to have known Uncle Kyle and Aunt Katie, Cousin Jerry, to have known BK's mom, one of the most delightful Southern ladies you could ever hope to meet, to spend time with Stark, Peggy, John, to have known that beautiful and lovable, so easy to love Sister Ann and Sister Beth, to know Sidna and her achievements now at UVA and the pride we all feel in Kyle in his service to his country. To know this family is to know a remarkable and interesting group of people. These folks are uniquely and individually gifted, but they're also a family united in certain shared and very, I think, recognizable traits, including, for me, and this is true of all of them, an unforgettable and deeply inspiring sense of independence, of personal authenticity at all costs, and a tenacious loyalty to one's sense of the right and the good. And I think they all manifest those qualities in everything they do. And with that observation, I'll come to my final point about BK. We have worked together for 37 years. And most of the time, our positions in the school have had us working with kids who are in crisis. Some kind of disciplinary problem or honor committee problem. And at those times, it is very difficult to know exactly what to say to kids or parents or how to say it. Because the levels of fear and anxiety and tension and emotion are so high and so volatile. We have together been through many of those incidents and episodes over our time here. have to be said in managing these tough moments. And I have to tell you that of all the people that I've worked with here over 41 years, BK Mundy was a master at knowing how to give that just perfect piece of advice and counsel that was critical to say and critical to be heard in a moment of a child's crisis or a parent's crisis. Few matched his skill in using these teaching moments as they should be used. In the old Barksdale wrestling room, or in the Barksdale wrestling room, there are, during wrestling season anyway, many signs designated to inspire and motivate wrestlers in their demanding practices and matches. Certainly, signs that take their origin in very noble intentions. But they're usually about, those signs are usually about the indispensability of pain and suffering in one's life. And yet, there is one simple and profoundly important reminder up on that wall, apart from the other nonsense about suffering and happiness, that sums up for me what BK's life and work and counsel to the young here have meant for those in our care and our charge. And that sign reads, "No excuses." In times of trial, in times of struggle, of failure, of disappointment, BK knew that we all need to take responsibility for ourselves with honesty, even if it hurts, and even if we may need supplementary reassurance and comfort. And if you know BK, you know that one would never actually go to BK in the first instance for reassurance and comfort. Over the years, when I have turned to BK for counsel and for friendship, compassionate friendship, I never got much simple sympathy. Many were the car trips up and down Route 130 when we talked about all manner of things. Many the nights at the weenie stand, tarrying over a chili dog and wondering if we could figure out how to make it to retirement. No, I got BK's faithful love and care by being challenged in my moments of disappointment and failure and frustration to be my own man and to face truths that I might not want to face. No excuses. BK had a particularly touching way of reaching out to me when he sensed that I needed some boost of some sort. Out of the clear blue, he would call or he would arrive at my apartment, summon me forth to climb into the truck and drive with him to the Home Depot. The Home Depot. Where I surmised he thought that it would be good for me to fondle a chainsaw. BK would never allow kids to seek the quick escape into the blame game in dark times. He guided kids and he guided adults like me to look into themselves and find the light even at the darkest part of the day, the light that starts with truthfulness about oneself. That is some legacy to leave to generations obviously, instruction means what happens in the classroom. Do you know your irregular verbs? Can you diagram this sentence? Education is something very different. It means those understandings and habits of life that are most likely to enable a person to create an authentic, happy, healthy, purposeful life in genuine and even intimate relationships with other good people. And when I ask you, what do you want, would you want, did you want for your children, you know the answer. In a sense, we want both. But I think really only one of these surpasses. One surpasses the other. Instruction complements, not replaces, education. For 37 years, BK has walked the walk, expecting and getting no excuse authenticity from kids and from adults. If the path has been scratchy for some of them and for some of us, good. Life is not going to be a whole lot of fun a lot of the time. What matters is that that path has brought generations toward full stature and will continue to do so. No small achievement. BK, I thank you for standing by me in my moments of need, and I thank you for standing by so many kids, so worthily and nobly for so long. God bless you. Godspeed on your journey to a well-deserved rest. I hope that if I come to visit you, you won't meet me at your front door with your miserable Glock 40mm and shoot. God bless you, and God bless BDS.
Probably remember I'm part of the league. If I'm here following Bill Garmy, you must know that that means I've drew the short straw. But I am going to approach this a little differently. I'm going to try to keep BK as a friend. Garmy told me to make all the bets I wanted because he would be 5 to 8 minutes. I didn't believe he didn't make any bets. He was 17 to 18 minutes. But it reminds me of a previous headmaster who told me that Bill Garmy has the ability to keep talking until he finds something to say. Well, we all know you've never met a word you didn't like, or that you didn't use over and over and over. But we're here to talk about BK. BK? Hey. As I said, I'm trying to keep you as a friend. I'm working on it. But let me take a quick moment to thank Tommy Battle for a great weekend. I may not have another opportunity to do that. He did not do it all by himself. He had a little bit of help from Lee King, Ron Hood, Allison Ebert, and Tabitha Lang. tonight because I didn't tell one particular story, and I didn't tell it the way he remembers it. And of course, that was the way that makes me look stupid. As he's always been much bigger than me, I learned a long time ago that it's best in matters like this to have one memory of such events, and that is his memory. So I'll tell you this little story that he wanted you to know about. In the early 1960s, when we were quite young, America was engaged in a space race. So BK and I decided we were going to build an improvised propulsion device. In other words, a rocket. Our fuel source would be ammonium nitrate. It's a common high nitrogen fertilizer that we can buy by the pound at the hardware store. It burned very rapidly, but sometimes it can be very difficult to ignite. We were running ignition trials on my father's workbench in the basement one evening. Of course, you need to know that upstairs my parents were having dinner. And according to BK, I was testing igniting a small sample of this ammonium nitrate, but I had it too close to our whole supply. And I ignited the entire 1 pound of ammonium nitrate. I filled the room with smoke, said plume and smoke and smell upstairs and everything. That's the story that you wanted to tell.
That is the truth.
That's the way I remember it. You're probably wondering how we did in the rocket business. I can tell you this, we got the propulsion part down right, but we were never good at controlling the flight. We never knew where they were going to go, but we knew they were going somewhere. In the 8th grade, BK and I headed off to BES together. We had the good fortune to graduate from here in 1967 with those 3 tables. We were both accepted at the University of Virginia, but when we got there, paths kind of diverged a little bit. I decided to take a very direct path through school in 4 years and get out into the business world. BK was suffering from some kind of problem called majoritis. I think he went through 3 majors and added 2 years to his path. But we made it back to Lynchburg, both of us, and before I decided to leave for about 25 years. But it was easy to always stay in touch with BK because he came right here to BES and he stayed here. And it made it, well, I've already said that. When people hear about our long association, they always ask me the same question. What was BK like as a young boy? As I told the trustees and faculty and staff, the most honest answer that I can give you is that he is exactly at 6 years old like he is now. If you can imagine a 6-year-old curmudgeon. And I worried in early May because I've never called him that before, especially to his face. I worried about saying that, and then I found out a few days later that's when his brothers called him. And I found out in that family that's a term of endearment. There's of course an archaic definition, which we all know, of curmudgeon. It's a crusty, ill-tempered, and churlish old man. But if you do some research, you'll find that that definition has been changed over the years. And the new definition for a curmudgeon is a person who hates hypocrisy, pretense, and has the temerity to say so. Someone with the habit of pointing out unpleasant facts in an engaging and humorous manner. BK, as we know, hates anything that devalues genuine sentiment, and he refuses to fake cheerfulness. He also refuses to applaud mediocrity, and he'll always put it down with a very quick dispatch. But we hold none of this against BK, because he's proven himself to be kind in many ways that people often never see. And that's why his company is so valued by those of us who live in this world. When I joined the BES board 7 years ago, Charlie Burton pointed out to me, Charlie's one of my classmates, that the class of 1967 had now provided 3 trustees to this school, 19 years of service in county. But I suggest to you that by far our biggest gift to BES has been BK. In the 37 years that he served here as an administrator, a teacher, a coach, and a mentor. BK, I'm going to invite you up here in a second to respond to all these eulogies. And I realize that I have enriched your life beyond your capacity to repay it. So I will be happy to continue enjoying your friendship. So come up here and give me a hug.
Important to me in rounding out my experience here to stand up here before you and to say thank you. My remarks at graduation had 2 points. For me, the most important point was to point out that through 37 years as a teacher and before that as 5 as a student, I've been given much more than I have received. I've been given much more than I have given back. I am really, truly in a position to thank you more than you are to thank me. Somehow I got that screwed. But in any event, thank you. It's been a great life for me. I've raised a family here. I felt love. I've had friendships. I've worked with great people. I have, I think, helped a couple people along the way. And to me, finally, that is the gratification. I'm not going to try to meet you. I will say thank you, I love you, and it's been great.
So BK, we're going to party the rest of the night.